Part 2. Sex tapes of my ex-wife are still on the internet. I'm rethinking if I should proceed with reconciliation. All it took was one Google search. Even the title of the video is same, just on a different website. Basically, how it happened back then was she dumped her AP, and he took revenge on her by uploading their sex tapes on the internet and also sending them to me. Her face wasn't visible, and it was on a very vague site, and the video was of low quality, so very less chance that anyone recognized her. But it was disgusting. To be frank, I couldn't even see her as human after seeing that video. When I confronted her, she was immediately cut off contact, willing to show me all of their texts, said she will do anything, she will never talk to him again, and she'll do something to pull out those videos from the sites. So, I ended up having access to their texts. I even saw how their affair started. There were thousands of messages, hundreds of pictures, and videos. They met up dozens of times. They did sex chat almost every night. It was torturing to read the messages and see the pictures, but I liked looking at them even after divorcing because I forced myself to keep remembering how vile and disgusting she can be, otherwise I would have gone back to her. I deleted them later on. About the sex tapes, she said she would get them deleted from the site, and so I assumed it was done. But last night when I checked the title of the video, it came right up on the first Google result. She reacted really badly when I told her about it. She apparently did not know it was still there and proceeded to have a full mental breakdown right in front of me. She was breathing heavily, crying, and kept mumbling sorry. I had to calm her down, so that was my day. I think I will see if I can get it pulled from that other site. But I can't stop looking at that video again. I've been looking at it and getting myself worked up all day. I want to do something to do that man, and I would have if he weren't in prison already. Effing insect, that man, and the fact a man like that touched my ex-wife, kissed her, and had sex with her while she also was doing those same things with me makes my skin crawl. I trusted her with my life, that's not an exaggeration, and she was using my trust for having fun. I'm now in the back seat of my car, and I feel like throwing up. I feel physically sick, like you have a fever, and my chest feels like there's a real hole in it. My head hurts too. I'm thinking if it's even worth it. If the hurt I carry and the severeness of her actions is just too great. Yes, sure, she is remorseful. But do I really want an extreme person like this who first cheats in an extreme way, and then also repents in an extreme way? I will be perfectly content with a boring life with a boring one-dimensional woman. What if my ex and I are just incompatible? Besides, it's not like I need her to be happy. I'm already happy, been for the last 5 years, until she came back and effed my life up again. I'm really reconsidering my decision to reconcile tonight. Did any of you guys ask yourself this question? And what did you conclude in the end? Update: is reconciliation a lifelong commitment? I was spiraling today. I received a lot of responses on my previous post, rightfully calling me out for acting like a child and sabotaging my own healing by looking up her sex tapes and willfully being petty with her. I told her today how I felt about it, that I feel I'm stringing her along, and that I might not be capable of something like reconciliation, which needs so much integrity and work. I told her I don't want to waste her time because I might just decide to leave one day. I told her that I want her to be happy, and I'm not sure if I can give her any happiness because I'm going to stay miserable and angry for a long time, and she does not deserve that. She was really surprised to hear all this. She said she can't believe I still want her to be happy even after all she did, and even she hasn't been able to forgive herself enough to say that she deserves happiness. She cried a bit and then said that she knows there's only a slim chance of us actually working it out, and she's come and prepared that I might end it at any moment. She also told me that I will never be a burden for her. She admitted the last days were hard, but the few good moments we had together in our dates in the last few weeks have been the happiest moments in her last 5 years, and she does not see it as a waste of time at all. And I was glad to hear all that because I feel similar to her. But she also said that she's prepared to work on our relationship for the rest of her life, and that she will never take anything for granted again. That line got me thinking. I asked her if she really thinks reconciliation for us is gonna be a lifelong commitment. Because I sure as hell don't want to reconcile for the rest of my life. If I'm gonna get back with her, I want to eventually outgrow the affair and even think of kids in the future. If we keep only reconciling and talking about the affair, will I ever feel comfortable to think about kids or remarriage? That is a scary thought, might end up becoming reality. How long can I continue reconciliation before it consumes everything and leaves no room for anything else? She said that it will take at least a few years, and for us it might as well become a lifelong effort. She said I should think more about it before committing to it, because she is 100% sure she is okay with it being a lifelong process. It depends on if I'm fine with that or not. I can't even understand what lifelong reconciliation will look like. Will I keep having these episodes of getting triggered and having to sleep outside? How long will I have to keep checking her phone and social media before I stop being paranoid? 10 years sounds reasonable. Lifelong triggers? Hell no. I don't want a life like that. Are there people who have been reconciling for a long time? Do you think reconciliation can be lifelong? What does lifelong reconciliation even look like? Does it ever get easier, less painful? Update: my friends and co-workers acted very rude to her and I'm really mad at them. I got a promotion at work a month ago, so a lot of my friends from work congratulated me. I was feeling like I owe them a party, so I asked a few of them this weekend to visit. I wasn't planning on having my ex-wife move in when I invited them. So, when I told her about it, she asked me if she should stay or if I prefer she left while they were here. I thought that since I was going to reconcile anyway, it would be a good thing to introduce her to them, since a lot of them have already met her before we separated. Some are also people I have literally known since childhood. So, when they arrived, she was in there too and greeted them. They just avoided her completely and none of them even asked about her. When I introduced them who she was and that we are getting back together, none of them asked or said anything about it. One of them was an older lady who is also my mentor from work and has met my ex-wife before. My ex went to sit close to her while they were eating, and she literally walked away from her and sat on another seat. All of them were gossiping with each other. I lost my SHT at that because it felt like a premeditated and pre-discussed insult from all of them towards both me and my ex. I told them, gently at first and more firmly later on, that my ex might have cheated, but they are nobody to treat her like SHT for that. I'm choosing to be with her, and if they have a problem with that, they can just not be my friends anymore. Some of them apologized later on, but most of them left without saying anything. My ex of course said nothing throughout and took it all. It's probably one of those times for her where she feels like she deserved it. I don't even know how to feel about my friends. They probably have good intentions in mind, but not even acknowledging her presence is just so petty. I have been fuming all day because of this, but I'm also glad I put my foot down and told them I won't tolerate such behavior from now on. Do people normally act like this towards people who cheat? I wonder if I'm gonna lose friends because of this BS. Is it right for me to cut off such people if they continue acting like a holes? Update: what if the betrayal is too much to forgive? I keep receiving messages and comments saying that my WS affair was the worst possible kind and there is no point to reconcile because I will never get over the hurt and betrayal. It is true that the nature and timing of her affair was worst. But is there even a thing too hard to forgive? My WS says she'll just keep doing the same things she's doing now to try and earn my forgiveness. But she doesn't know if I'll ever reach that stage either. She says she still wants to be with me and grow old with me, even if it means dealing with whatever consequences there are for the rest of her life. That does not seem a very attractive life to me, but that's what she says. I know human capacity for forgiveness is huge, but I also have no idea if there are some betrayals too great to ever let go. And I do have a really hard time with resentment and doubt because she showed and gave a side of herself to AP that I never got. There are a lot of things I have not even mentioned. She did things with him that I cannot dream she'll do with me, traveled through states to meet him, texted day and night while proclaiming her love to me and planning a life with me at the same time. Are there cases similar to us where the WS cheated in a really deplorable and depraved manner, and the BS was still able to forgive despite it all? Am I being too optimistic or too pessimistic? Update: I saw WW crying all alone at night. Last night I woke up really early, at around 3 a.m., and tried a lot but could not go back to sleep again. So, I washed my face and decided I'll go to the balcony for some air. I passed through the living room to reach the balcony and on the way saw that the lights in her room were switched off, so I assumed she was asleep. I was trying to be quiet because I know she has very less hours of sleep and also sleeps very lightly. I heard her before seeing her. Soft and muted sobs, almost like a cat was whimpering. She was probably trying to be quiet also, but in the quiet of the night I heard it clearly. And then I saw her there, curled up in a corner on the floor of the balcony, sobbing uncontrollably. Her hair was all messed up, and when she looked at me, I saw tears all across her face. She jerked herself back up as soon as she saw me, told me to give her a moment and wiped off her face. Then she was like, "I'm sorry you had to see that," and then asked if I wanted to be alone and if she should go back to her room. I just asked if she was okay and what was she crying about all alone at 4 a.m. She kept her eyes down as if I caught her doing something shameful. I told her that it's okay for her to cry and if she does not want to tell me, that's okay also. She got teary-eyed and confessed to me that she does this every night instead of crying in front of me. She controls herself when I am around because otherwise, she feels like she's being dramatic and manipulating and she shouldn't be crying when I'm being strong. So, she keeps those feelings suppressed and lets them out at night. She also told me she was very shaken by the video of her that's still on the internet. She says she feels dirty and as though someone's eyes were always on her body no matter how much she tries to hide. It broke my heart the way she described it. I had no idea she was struggling so much. I hugged her and we cried together. It's the first time I've held her in 5 years. I told her she shouldn't hesitate to tell me about what she's going through because talking about herself is not going to take away from my healing. It's actually helping me to empathize with her and stop demonizing her. I also told her that as a reconciling couple we need to be honest and open about what we're going through. She promised to me that whatever she's struggling with I'll be the first to know from now on. I told her I'll do the same too. Overall, I think it was a really nice and productive conversation. I was able to go back to sleep for a few minutes and had a huge triggering dream just an hour after that conversation. And that pretty much ruined my day because the mental images just stick with me once I see such a dream. But at least we're progressing, which is encouraging to me. Update. Emptiness. I feel numb and empty. Nothing bad happened today to trigger this. I just feel melancholy sadness for no reason. I feel like something is missing from me. And whatever it is, it's been missing for a long time and getting back with her hasn't brought back that thing. I don't know what it is. Maybe it is the innocent and naive sort of love I had towards her. Maybe it is my trusting and carefree nature that I don't know if it'll ever come back. I miss being who I was before her F-up. Sometimes I also feel angry and violated because I never asked for this. I didn't do anything to deserve this. I'm just grieving the loss of something deep within me. Something I can't even define or point out what exactly it is. I've been really unproductive today. I slacked off at work too. She does the right things, but it's seemingly not enough. Her birthday is also at the end of this month. I wonder if she'll feel sad if I end up not wanting to celebrate it. But honestly, I don't even have the energy to think about that right now. I hope things get easier and less painful with time. Update. Is it a good idea to ask my WW to write a timeline of her affair 5 years later? I'm thinking of talking to her about the prospect of writing a timeline about all she did with AP every time she went to meet him. I consider myself pretty lucky since I already had somewhat of a full disclosure 5 years ago. She immediately surrendered her phone to me the moment I confronted her, and I was able to read all their texts from the very beginning when the affair started. Considering it was a year-long affair, they actually only met 4 or 5 times during the entire affair, so most of it was through text. I went through all those thousands of messages, and I did it more than once, so I already got to know most if not all that happened between them. But I still feel in the dark regarding what things they did when they met. I don't need any information about the sex they had, but about other things they did together. Did they go out on dates? Did she do things for him she usually does for me? These thoughts trigger me sometimes because randomly doubts like this pop into my mind and neither of us can avoid it, so it ends up ruining a good moment. As an instance, it was my turn to cook tonight, but she took over the kitchen anyway and said she's in the mood to make something nice today. She made a dessert dish I really like, and I was mostly enjoying the evening with her. But in the middle of the meal, I remembered an exchange she had with AP, where he was saying that she should visit him and cook dinner for him someday, and she enthusiastically said she will make this dessert dish for him when they meet again. And my stomach just turned at that thought of them having sex in his house and then her cooking for him and having lunch together. I couldn't eat what she made at all. I felt nauseous and like my stomach was already full. I didn't want to. I had no interest or intention in having this conversation with her, but I did it anyway. I asked her on the spot if she made this dish for AP. I looked at her as her expression turned from happiness to surprise, realization of how I came to that conclusion, and finally guilt and sadness. She said that she never even visited his house, much less cook for him. I just feel like I already have near complete disclosure, and there's just this little part of their affair I know nothing about. And I don't think letting these random doubts ruin good times is worth it. I want to let it all out and deal with it all at once. I'm prepared for some ugly truths. At this point, I don't think there's anything that can be too hard for me to handle. And I feel like I need to know everything because only then I can fully accept her back. I'm just wondering if it is a good idea to ask for a disclosure now. Are there BS who asked for timeline after so many years? I don't even know if she will remember things from that long ago. Am I just asking for more pain, or is it valid to feel like I need this to heal? P.S. I've started to use this group as a kind of daily journal in addition to asking for advice. I really appreciate the advice I've got from people who are more exp. Update. I asked for a timeline from my WW, and she said she's forgotten a lot of the details of her affair. My situation is a bit different from most since I already had near full disclosure 5 years ago, when I got access to the messages between AP and my WW and saw everything right from when the affair started. I separated and divorced her then and didn't discuss anything about the affair with her at all. But now that we've gotten back together and trying to reconcile, I still feel in the dark about what they did during the times they met. Their affair was mostly over text, and they only met a total of 5 times, so I already have near full disclosure. I just felt like the brief part of the affair that happened when they met each other, and I don't know about, is holding me back from healing completely and also contributes to random triggers. So, I'd been thinking about asking her for a timeline of all that happened when they met so we can move past it together once and for all. Today it was a day off for both of us. I thought it would be a good day to discuss with her the idea of writing a timeline of her affair. So, after lunch I told her there's something I wanted to talk about. I ran her through everything about how difficult these random triggers are for me, and so I asked if she could write a timeline of all that she did when she met her AP in a disclosure so we can move past it together. She listened to everything I said, then held my hand and said, "There's something I need to tell you too." She told me she's got a feeling that I may ask for this info, so this was one of the first things she talked about with her therapist. She told me that she doesn't remember a lot of details about what happened when she met her AP. I said of course it's natural to not remember some details since it was 5 years ago. She said it's not that, there's entire blocks of memory that she can't recall at all from when they met. She says she remembers the things leading up to it, but a lot of the memories of when they were together feeling like they have been wiped. She said when she tries to remember it feels like waking up from a dream. Like she knows some things happened, and it feels within grasp, but when you reach out you can't grab any of those memories. She only remembers bits and pieces but not all. Like how it happens after you wake from a dream and you know you saw a dream and remember vague details, but when you try to remember you can't recall fully what it was about. Her therapist told her that those memories may have become traumatizing for her, and her brain has subconsciously blocked them away as a result. She promised that she will still try to remember as much as she can and write whatever that she can remember. And she'll also try to understand why she can't remember it and will tell me if she discovers new information. After hearing what she said, I honestly feel like there's no point asking for a timeline anymore. What's the use of a timeline if it's incomplete? I wanted a timeline so we could put everything about the affair past us. But her condition means that it's not an option anymore. She'll probably keep remembering new things and disclosing them one by one. The one-time disclosure I had in mind is impossible with what she's going through. I hate that this is happening, but I'm also finding it difficult to trust her on this for some reason. The logical part of my brain tells me that she really has no incentive in hiding anything further because I've already seen the nastiest stuff. What more could even be there to hide? But I've been spiraling the whole day, I don't know why. I just get a gut feeling that she's lying again. I even know it doesn't make sense, but I can't stop it. And I'm starting to imagine all the things that they must have done together that I'll never know about. I really don't want to go down this rabbit hole, but I can't stop myself. She was pretty concerned and kept asking if I was okay, if I was mad at her. I think she could tell that I was not okay, but I couldn't bring myself to tell her how I was feeling. How could I? She just told me something that has traumatized her to the point that she had to block away memories. Something she might be genuinely struggling with, and my first instinct was to doubt her and question her genuineness. I just feel really bummed today. I don't know what to do. She's in her room all alone too because I told her I need some space tonight. And I feel like I've needlessly hurt her again. Another night that I just want to crawl up and disappear. Update: I read WW's incomplete affair timeline. I haven't posted in a few days because there were some messages and comments on my last post that were less than pleasant, so I took some distance. I'm in a much better state than 3 days ago. While I was spiraling, she actually wrote an incomplete timeline of whatever she could remember. It was pretty long still, and what she wrote also matches what I found from her texts with AP. There was new information and some of it was unexpected, but also the amount of depravity I'm used to in her affair. I also got to see what sort of memory blocks she can't remember. For instance, she remembers that after hooking up they went to a restaurant together, but she remembers nothing about what they talked about or did there. On another instance, she remembers the hotel room and what they did in the room but has no memory of how she reached there or what hotel it was. She also promised me that she will stop everything else and focus as much of her time as she can on getting over these memory blocks. I asked her how she can be sure that after giving me a timeline there won't be any new disclosure years in the future when she remembers something new randomly. Will she still tell me, or will she keep it a secret? She told me even if she remembers something new on her deathbed, she will still tell me without hesitation. Honestly, that is good enough for me. I have no way of confirming her information anyway because the only 2 people in the world who know what happened between them is her and AP. And I would rather die than trust AP's words, so she is all I have. She could have easily lied and made up things when I ask her, and I would never have known. So, it's really nice to see her seemingly working towards being honest with me. My mind's more occupied about her birthday this week. I feel really anxious about it for some reason. I don't even want to come face to face with her on that day, but I know that will be rude. It's not that I don't want her to celebrate it, I just feel like if I'm there with her I'll end up being triggered. I don't know what she's expecting either. I don't know what I'll do if she says she wants to go out party with her friends. Are there people here who didn't want to celebrate WW's birthday? How did WW react to it? Update: today was WW's birthday. A positive update: it was WW's birthday today. Last night after midnight when I wished her, I sat down with her and told her that I may not be in the correct mindset to celebrate her birthday this time because I may get triggered and I don't want to ruin her day. So, I told her with a lot of courage that she may go out today if she wants to as long she shares her location with me. But I will not be going. Her response was that she has no such plans and that she's gonna stay home and enjoy the weekend with me. I asked her, isn't it unfair that she doesn't get to celebrate her birthday because of me? She said it's not really a big deal because she hasn't celebrated her birthday in the last few years anyway. I asked why not, because she used to be really big on birthdays before. She laughed and said I looked forward to it because it was an excuse to have a fun day with you. Without you there's no point because I don't place much value on birthdays anyway. I can't say it was not a relief for me to hear that because I feel similarly. I have gone out with friends on my birthdays in the last 5 years, but it always felt pointless and none of them were as memorable as the ones I've spent with WW. Before our divorce, we used to go out on long drives or at least a nice dinner together on both of our birthdays. The last year that we were together on her birthday, we visited the city where we met. We met in college where she was my senior, and we went on our first date to a nearby park. We traveled 100 kilometers and revisited that park on her birthday 5 years ago. And yes, she was still having her affair at that time. Her AP actually sent her a dress as a gift that she wore in front of me many times and kept wearing it until I found out. When I imagine that day I visited the park with her, I can't help but picture her wearing that dress in there and it ruins everything for me. Even though she probably was not actually wearing that dress when we went there. I don't even remember. Today I told her that I hope I can go back to that park again with her someday without being triggered. She held me and said those were the sweetest memories of her life and it would be a dream come true to visit that place with me again. We didn't do much during the day, but at night we watched a movie together, which we haven't done in so long. It feels nice to reconnect with her, to redo things I used to do with her. It feels like being home after a long, exhausting trip. She also made me take a love languages test online, which is apparently a tool people use to better understand their spouse's needs. Both of our love languages are apparently words of affirmation. I've always liked compliments, but hers is a total surprise. Feels weird that a little piece of software code was able to understand so much about her just from a few questions. Has anyone else from here taken this test? If not, I highly recommend it. I was legit dreading this day, but overall, I think it went way better than I was expecting. Mostly because I was able to communicate properly, and she reciprocated too. Now I can only hope this good day will extend into a good night too and I won't have to deal with insomnia or nightmares tonight. Update: I don't feel sexually attracted to WW anymore. Can we overcome this? On an emotional level, I've been connecting with WW really well even if it's been 5 years since we divorced. I can talk to her for hours on end without getting bored at all. Not to mention she's exactly my type from head to toe. In 5 years, I never found anybody like that. But the moment we get in a KED in bed, all that attraction just dies out. Sometimes I can't even get hard. She first assumed it was because of the mind movies for me. But honestly, it's not the mind movies at all. I just look at her and feel nothing. I think I just don't feel any sexual desire towards her anymore. She keeps reassuring me and says that I don't need to feel bad and that we just need to spend some more time getting used to each other again. We tried a few times anyway and she went all in, but I was like a block of stone. I felt paralyzed, like I was doing something wrong, and I legit felt afraid that someone will walk in on us. It makes no sense. I don't know why I felt like that. Have any BS had any similar experiences with their WW? I'm gonna be honest, I don't want to be in a relationship with no sexual desire and satisfaction on my part. I am 100% sure I find her sexually attractive. In fact, when I look at her, I feel like she's the hottest woman on earth. I just don't understand why the moment we try doing anything sexual, I just feel like I have no sexuality at all. Is it because of the emasculation? Because of anxiety? Because of the resentment? Or all of them? Is this a permanent thing? My reconciliation hinges on this question now. Is there someone who's faced this before but then it returned to normal? Update: my WW used to make fun of my height with her AP. How can I ever get over that? Considering I'm a guy, my height is on the shorter end of the spectrum. I'm barely taller than my WW. And because she's slender and has a slim body, she actually looks taller than me, even if we're more or less the same height. In school, I used to be very insecure about my height, often wore shoes with really thick soles just for that extra quarter of an inch. By adulthood, I became more confident about it. I understood that most people don't obsess about height the way that I used to, and that my height doesn't actually repel people. It was all in my head. And it helped that my WW, who was my GF back then, also reinforced this belief that height has nothing to do with my attractiveness. She even cut ties with one friend because she spoke of me in a negative light. So, it broke me when I found her texts with AP where he was insulting and making fun of everything about me every chance he got. And she let him say all that. At some times, she even joined him in laughing and poking fun at my expense. She told him once that she wished I was a little bit taller so she could wear high heels when she's with me. And said to AP, "That is why I like going out with you, because I can wear them when I'm with you." What's confusing is she did actually wear high heels with me often. I don't mind when she does, most of the time I don't even notice. What's hard to digest is how she always acts as though my height doesn't bother her, and always told me to be more confident. But her texts with AP indicate that she's actually ashamed of my height. Now which side of her should I even believe? He also made jokes about my body hair and my skin color. While she didn't join in with him, she also didn't shut him down. Why? How could she let him disrespect me like that when she's literally left childhood friends over this same thing? Did she care about him that much? She keeps saying she didn't love him, but it's getting less and less believable the more I think about it. She also swears up and down that everything she said to him were lies and just to keep him satisfied. But why? Why did she want to satisfy him so much to the extent that she let him walk over my dignity? And why can't she just speak up if she feels ashamed of my height instead of gossiping about it? I have already received answers to all these questions from her. But the problem is trust. How can I believe her now? After everything she's done proves that she lies to me at every turn. I just can't reconcile these two versions of her in my head. One of them is my evil and selfish ex-wife who went behind my back while having no issue pretending to be my perfect wife, who laughed at me behind my back with her lover while encouraging me to be more confident of those same things she made fun of. And the second is my WW who has shown me nothing but regret and remorse since we started reconciling, and has made so much effort and demonstrated so much patience with me that I really have nothing I can complain about or be angry about since then. I'm really hanging on by a thin string tonight. It feels I'm just waiting here for her to screw up, even something minor, so I can use it as an excuse to get the hell out of here. F her and her AP, and screw me for being so affected by